Welcome to today's Explainer. We're going to be diving into something absolutely fascinating today, mastering both the mind and the body by combining ancient wisdom with cutting-edge modern science. We often think of warriors as these purely physical beings, but the truth is, true resilience is always forged in the mind first. I love this quote from Mike Tyson. Discipline is doing what you hate to do, but doing it like you love it. It's just such a powerful hook, right? It immediately challenges our comfortable modern routines. The big idea we're tackling here is that resilience doesn't just happen to us by accident. It actually requires deliberate friction. You have to actively seek out the hard things if you want to build a truly strong mind. Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap for today's Explainer. We'll start with the warrior mindset, move right into the power of voluntary hardship, explore mastering emotional regulation, take a close look at the holistic health approach, and finally, bring it all home with 5 daily warrior habits. Kicking things off with Section 1, the warrior mindset. In our fast-paced modern world, constant, low-level stressors can so easily overwhelm us unless we actively forge a resilient mindset. We might not be facing literal battlefields every single day, but our daily pressures, they trigger the exact same panic responses in our brains. And here's the thing, mental strength isn't just a personality trait that some lucky people are born with. Actually, scratch that, it's not a trait at all. Think about the most formidable warriors throughout history, from the ancient Spartans to the samurai. They weren't just physically trained, they were deeply, intensely, mentally prepared. So the absolute crucial takeaway here is that mental toughness is an active daily discipline. It's a tool forged over time through consistent, unrelenting effort. Moving right along to Section 2, the power of voluntary hardship. So what exactly is voluntary hardship? Well, it's defined as the practice of intentionally seeking out uncomfortable situations just to test the limits of your endurance. Let's think about the classic Army infantry grunt for a second. Imagine standing outside in the freezing, wet cold at 3 a.m. during a completely chaotic snap inspection, your gear being tossed out of windows, people screaming and yelling. Why on earth do they do this? To build unbreakable resilience and prepare those soldiers for the absolute chaos of war. Basically, if you aren't miserable, they aren't doing it right. And this brilliantly illustrates the stark contrast between our current lifestyle and what actually builds mental fortitude. On one side, we have what's basically a hedonistic merry-go-round, our modern obsession with endless comforts, the newest gadgets, and constant distractions, where we just sort of expect our every demand to be met instantly. On the flip side is scarcity and hardship. By mindfully denying ourselves certain comforts, maybe it's skipping a meal or jumping into a freezing cold shower, we build a profound gratitude for what we have. We learn that, hey, we can actually thrive without endless luxury.
Now, practicing this voluntary hardship actually equips us to handle what are known as the HALT triggers. That stands for hungry, angry, lonely, and tired. These are the 4 major triggers that almost always derail our emotional sobriety and push us right into bad habits or terrible decisions. But by intentionally exposing yourself to scarcity in a controlled way, you're literally training yourself to stay calm, cool, and collected when one of these triggers hits you unexpectedly in the real world.
Which brings us to Section 3, mastering emotional regulation. Now, let's shift gears from ancient philosophy to cutting-edge sports psychology. Elite athletes use these exact techniques to stay completely calm under immense pressure. For instance, when they use mindfulness, research shows they can boost their concentration levels by up to 20% during a competition. Tools like cognitive restructuring allow them to challenge and just completely flip negative thoughts instantly. Meanwhile, biofeedback translates raw physiological data, things like heart rate and muscle tension, into actionable insights. It gives them true, measurable emotional control rather than just guessing how they might be feeling. Let's move to Section 4 and see how this all builds into a massive institutional framework, the holistic health approach. This holistic framework is perfectly captured in the official seal of the Department of the Army, representing their comprehensive Field Manual 7-22. This manual is a really big deal. It marks an authoritative shift in military doctrine. It moves entirely away from that old industrial-scale, one-size-fits-all training of the past and pushes hard toward a highly individualized, multi-domain system. The ultimate goal here? To build true lethality and readiness in every single soldier so they can win quickly and, most importantly, return home healthy. Now, what's really interesting here is how the military breaks this down into 5 core domains: physical, nutritional, mental, spiritual, and sleep. They absolutely insist that peak performance isn't just about how many push-ups you can crank out. Not at all. It requires integrating all 5 of these foundational elements. Think about it. If your sleep is compromised, your mental and physical readiness just completely plummet. True resilience is entirely holistic. You simply cannot ignore one domain without collapsing all the others. All right, let's distill all of this down in section 5, 5 daily warrior habits. So how do we actually apply all of this philosophy, sports science, and military doctrine to our own lives? Well, habit 1 is simple but incredibly powerful. Begin your day with stillness. Before you step into the utter chaos of the day, just take 5 minutes for silent reflection. We so often wake up and immediately grab our phones, instantly reacting to the world. But modern neuroscience validates that taking just a few minutes of mindfulness actually reduces stress-related activity in the amygdala. That's your brain's fight or flight center. It keeps you in a proactive rather than a purely reactive state of mind. This idea aligns perfectly with the ancient wisdom of Sun Tzu. He said, "If you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles." Knowing yourself requires that moment of stillness. It perfectly parallels the neuroscience we just talked about. Focus must always, always precede action. You absolutely have to center yourself before you step into the arena. Okay, habit 2, train for discomfort. Please do not wait for motivation, use discipline. Deliberately expose yourself to controlled stress every single day. This could be something like speaking up in a meeting when you normally stay quiet, tackling a really hard task you've been avoiding, or yes, taking that freezing cold shower. By doing this, you are actively rewiring and training your brain to stop running from pressure and start rising to it. Discomfort is a fantastic teacher. Habit 3 is a real game changer. Control the breath. In any high-pressure situation, your breath is literally your ultimate anchor. Try the 4-in, 6-out technique. It's exactly what it sounds like, inhaling for 4 seconds and exhaling for 6 seconds. By making your exhales longer than your inhales, you instantly activate your parasympathetic nervous system. This biologically forces your body to reduce anxiety and clear your mind right on the spot. The legendary samurai Miyamoto Musashi hit the nail on the head when he said, "Your training has to be useful at all times." Breath control is the ultimate foundation for emotional control for this exact reason. It is a tool you carry with you into every single battle, no matter the context or the location. Moving on to habit 4, reflect like a general. At the end of the day, you have to take time to review your actions. Not to gloat and definitely not to punish yourself, but to study and to grow. In fact, a Harvard Business School study proved that taking just 15 minutes for end-of-day reflection can boost your overall performance by a whopping 23%. So ask yourself, where did I stay calm today? Where did I react poorly? And most importantly, what will I handle differently tomorrow? And finally, we have habit 5, carry yourself with purpose. Did you know your physical posture literally influences your brain chemistry? Harvard researcher Amy Cuddy found that holding a strong, expansive posture for just 2 minutes increases testosterone, which boosts your confidence, and it actively lowers cortisol, your stress hormone. So stand tall, keep your shoulders back, chin up, and signal to your own brain that you are completely ready for whatever comes next. We've covered a lot of ground today, from ancient philosophy to modern sports psychology and elite military doctrine to map out the ultimate warrior's playbook. Now I want to leave you with one final, provocative question to think about. What comfort will you voluntarily surrender today to forge your resilience tomorrow? The playbook is officially in your hands now. Thank you so much for joining me for today's explainer, and as always, keep learning.